question here is, should he apologize again? James Boyce, Democratic strategist, Doug Heye, Republican strategist, both my friends. James, let me begin with you. Should he apologize again on the House floor?
No, I don't think so, Contessa. He apologized to President Obama, and frankly, I think that is enough. I think, if anything, we ought to be talking about Joe Wilson's his own health care, which, by the way, is TRICARE, because he's a U.S. military veteran. It's a government-run program. It provides world-class, as he says, world-class health care. So Joe Wilson ought to be focused on the fact that he's got world-class health care, and he ought to be working to make sure the people in the 3rd District in South Carolina and the people in this country also have world-class health care. So I think he's apologized enough.
Doug, what's your take?
Certainly one apology is enough, and unfortunate statements come from people in Washington, D.C. every day. You know, there's no better example of that than Harry Reid, who said that President Bush was a liar and refused to apologize. Harry Reid has a history of making comments like this. It's why he's down 11 points to Danny Tarkanian. But we've made an apology. That's enough.
Okay, but here's the thing, guys. I think part of the problem is that not just that he called President Obama a liar, but in the forum that he did it. I mean, the House of Representatives has particular rules about conduct within the House, and you have some Democratic lawmakers saying he broke the rules. He brought embarrassment not just upon himself, but upon the institution, the House of Representatives. And for that, he should apologize, or he should be disciplined for it. Otherwise, it looks like they are condoning that behavior. Doug?
Well, there are a lot of members of Congress who have a lot of explaining to do. I'd start with Charlie Rangel. I'd start with John Murtha.
Right. But about, I get it. There are other people who have been accused of.
We're talking about Joe Wilson,
We have been accused. Right. Well, now wait a minute, James. You went off topic too, talking about other things. So let me just say.
Talking about Joe Wilson.
Right. Well, that's true. Good point. Let me just ask here for the breach of conduct here on the House floor, Doug. Should Joe Wilson apologize to his colleagues who were observing the formality, the civility of the moment?
Absolutely not. He's apologized to the president, to the vice president, as he said, to Rahm Emanuel immediately after the speech. Let's really focus on what's going on with health care, because President Obama said that if this health care reform package that he's pushing passes, that he owns it. The reality is that we'll all own it, and that's why we need to have a deep debate on this, not apologies that really nobody cares about anyways.
And let me play what President Obama said when he was asked whether the South Carolina congressman should apologize again, this time on the floor.
This is part of what happens. I mean, it becomes a big circus. Instead of us focusing on health care, he apologized afterwards, which I think I appreciated.
Okay, so the president says, yeah, it's a big circus. Could this backfire, James, on the Democratic lawmakers insisting that he get... I mean, come on. Isn't it time to move on? There are such big, weighty issues. Could you see, I don't know, Clyburn?
Well,
could you see this backfire on him?
Oh, absolutely. I think in the ABC poll it talks about how more and more Americans are identifying themselves as independents and not Republicans like Doug or Democrats like myself, because they're fed up with Washington. And now it's, days are going to go by. They're going to argue about Joe Wilson. I agree with Doug, and I agree with President Obama. Let's cut out the circus. Let's get back to health care. Right. Let's talk about the issue.
I think most Americans are more concerned about whether or not Kanye is going to apologize than anything Joe Wilson's going to do. We want to talk about the economy. We want to talk about health care. People outside Washington and New York, they're not focused on apologies.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, apologies can be interesting, and especially when they're coming from people who are much better known than Representative Joe Wilson. James, thank you. Doug, I see you got listed as a big party animal by Politico.
I don't know anything about that.
Yes, you do. Don't lie. All right, good to see you too. Thanks, guys.